clip on each side here. One right about here. The other one should be about here. It's got it in the sweet spot. I wonder if those are a 14 or what size they are. Alright, with the slightly nerve-wracking part of taking out both seats over with and they're safe and sound, we're going to start vacuuming underneath the seats now that we've got full access. We can kind of see some moldy food, some little mold in there, and then just dirt and debris and some other things. So I'm just checking in there, making sure there's no mold or dampness or anything, any problems underneath around those bolt holes. It looked fine besides some of the moldy food that was hanging out that we already vacuumed, and we're just going to continue to get these carpets completely clean here for our next step of the process, and just check for any dampness, any wetness, any mold that we need to address. We're just going to check and make sure there's no moisture or anything on the carpets or underneath into the foam padding. I didn't see any, thankfully, so I think it was just a case of the food and drink spills not cleaned up in a timely manner, and just the stuff got old and rank and started just molding and stuff. So this truck wasn't super moldy, but there was definitely mold going on, so we want to snuff that out while we can and before it gets to be a real big problem. We're just going to repeat the same process here on the front passenger seat area. We're just going to vacuum up all this loose stuff, the hairs and food crumbs and anything else that we can see. And then, yeah, with the seats pulled out, we've got full access to both sides and the front. And so we're just going to do a complete vacuum here. And then when we're done, we're going to move on to the next step here. And over on this side, we didn't see any moisture or mold in the carpets besides what was immediately visible, so that's a relief. There's no major mold problems in this truck. We're just gonna take care of the areas that we saw and treat it, the carpets and everything, to make sure that nothing comes back here, and should be good with all the drink and food spills and all the old food cleaned up. Shouldn't have any future problems. These Ford carpets were a real pleasure to work with, vacuuming everything clean. The carpets were pretty plush and easy to vacuum. The stuff wasn't really stuck in there real hard. It wasn't ground into the carpet, and it was just a lot easier to work with than the Toyota and the Honda carpets. They're just pretty cheaply made, so I'll give Ford credit in this regard. They do a good job making their carpets, whoever makes them. They're pretty high quality, I'd say. had some chemical guys cleaner left over, so I figured I'd use the remainder of it on these all-weather floor mats. And then my drill brush made pretty quick work of the dirt, breaking it up loose, and then I just rinsed it off with the hose and repeated as necessary to get these floor mats completely cleaned up. And they cleaned up pretty good, no complaints there. I was using a Chemical Guys medium bristle brush and hand scrubbing, but that's just exhausting, kind of a waste of my efforts. It's much easier using an impact driver with a cone brush, so that's what I'm using now. It gives good scrubbing power, and you don't exhaust yourself so much, which is important when you're doing it in detail. You don't want to burn yourself out before you're done. These door panels overall weren't too bad a condition. Some of the door pockets and areas where you can store things down on the bottom were a bit dirty, but overall the rest of the door panels weren't too dirty. So we're just going to give them a cursory wipe down, and then in the dirty areas we're going to do a deep scrub and just make sure we get everything cleaned out and make them look brand new again. If a vehicle's door jambs are really dirty, I'll use a wheel and tire brush with soapy water to scrub them. Sometimes pressure wash rinse them first. These weren't too bad, so I just kind of thoroughly saturated them with the cleaner and then wiped them down. That wasn't a problem. They weren't muddy or really gritty. Just the bottoms of the door panels were a little dirty, so I just got a little extra cleaner on there to saturate and loosen up the dirt and things, and wiped them all clean, and that worked just fine. I'm not sure what trim levels had this, or if this was optional on any model of F-250 to 450, or even the 150s, but it has a little storage bin sort of area. That's what I'm wiping right now, and it can fold flat, or you can pop it out and it store items in there, which is kind of neat. It's kind of a hidden little rear seat storage, so you pop the seat back down into the seating position and you've got all your stuff that's hidden out of sight. So if there's any looky-loos or any unscrupulous people that might want to break in your truck and steal something, they can't see it so easily just staring them in the face. So it's always good to have anything that might be valuable or things you want to have hidden, tools and such, hidden under that back seat area. So it's kind of a nice little hideaway spot. This driver's door panel is a bit dirtier, just obviously it gets used all the time, and so there's going to be some hand oils and extra dirt on the window switches and the door handle and the pockets and all those little the door panel seat bottom areas where you can store things. There's going to be extra dirt and stuff just because there's always somebody getting in and out of the front driver's seat area. So Just got to pay a little more attention to that, get this thing all scrubbed up clean, and we'll be making it look new again shortly. Just like that moldy cashew I found in the recesses of the door panel, you always want to take your time when you're detailing and make sure you get it in every little crevice and stuff, because we wouldn't want to leave any nasty moldy food which could be causing mold spores to spread around and just stinking up the truck with the nasty rotten food and moldy smell. So it's always good to just double check what you're doing, making sure that you're getting everything cleaned out, and then before you present to the customer, just going and double checking, making sure you didn't miss anything. Nobody's perfect, so just taking a little extra time at the end before you show off the finished product and vehicle to the customer, just making sure that you got everything, and that'll just help your quality a lot. This door plate was pretty dirty. I did a preliminary spray down and scrub with just a P&S interior cleaner and a microfiber cloth. The platinum area where it's got a bunch of cracks and stuff, and just spraying it and wiping it didn't get it completely clean. So I do end up going over it again more thoroughly to be able to get everything cleaned up appropriately, which I'll show a little later. Here's where I do a little deep dive cleaning with my trusty toothbrush and some interior cleaner, just getting in those cracks and crevices. Sometimes a toothbrush works really good. The little brush scrubbers can get into those little tight spots where just a regular brush can't, and this just gets everything nice and clean. And if you've got grit stuck in the cracks and the customer opens the driver's side door, it's just not a good look. It looks like you didn't do your job right, even though it takes a bit more time. Doing it the proper way and getting it all cleaned up, I feel like that's worth the extra time that it takes, just doing it right. This weather stripping was a bit gritted up with junk and stuff, so I tried to get out what I could with spraying it down and wiping it, and then I'll go through when I do my final vacuum and vacuum out any little bits that wouldn't come out easily with just wiping it out. So we'll get this thing all cleaned up and looking nice and spick and span. I'll give Ford credit on building their trucks. They build tons of little storage compartments and areas on these Ford series truck things. Like the main center console's got so many little cubbies and storage things, it's just ridiculous. Like, you've got room to store so many things, which, I mean, that's not a bad thing to have. I mean, I'd rather have too many areas to store things than not enough, but just a lot more little nooks and crannies to make sure that you get wiped clean and not to miss. This area had a little bit of mold on there, so we're going to be treating that as well and making sure no mold comes back. But we're just going through and spraying down the center console area, getting everything all nice and wiped clean, and we'll be throwing away the towels when we're done, because I don't want to have a chance of spreading mold to another vehicle and contaminate my other towels. So we're just going to chuck these towels when we're done. The armrest part of the center console wasn't too bad, but the back cup holders definitely needed a good scrub. And we're going to go ahead and wipe down the cleaner areas of the center console first, and then scrub down the cup holders next, because those are dirtier and we don't want to scrub a dirty microfiber towel on a cleaner area unless we're folding it over, but I digress. We're going to get all these cup holders scrubbed out and cleaned up, and then we'll be moving on to the other side of the truck here. It's nice working with no front seats because you've got so much room to work around. Nothing's cramped or tight, and so we can definitely do a real thorough clean on this whole truck, which is nice. It just takes extra time and extra cost for the customer to remove the front seats, but for this situation with the mold and stuff, it was a good call to pull the seats and do a complete clean on this truck. We just got to finish wiping and cleaning this rear seat storage area, and then some of the little mounting areas for the rear seat, and get those all wiped clean. Then we'll be done with this little back seat area and storage cubby and move on to other things here. If you're enjoying this mold remediation and complete cleaning on this F-450, stay tuned for part 3, where we wrap everything up and get this thing put back together and do a final walkthrough on this truck here, so stay tuned.